you have that sense of jury trials are important. You don't know why you think that.
You're right.
But that's because you're brought up in the culture. So you might get someone really intelligent, really wonderful from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Why would we want them being involved in British politics? Because they know nothing about being British.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. Shabana Mahmood, and I think you quite rightly said your view is she shouldn't be a cabinet secretary or whatever. She's in charge of justice, isn't she?
She is, and she wasn't born in the country.
She wasn't born in this country. So in America, you can't be president if you're not born in America. She's also now, in tandem with all this grubby stuff happening, she's trying to abolish jury trials in Britain. So if you think this through to a logical conclusion, you abolish jury trials, you install in all the judiciary people who will vote, who will judge basically based on your political views. You've destroyed justice in this country, haven't you?
We have, but again, she's only following on from what the Tories have been doing.
Yeah. So
the Tories over the last 5 years have been having court cases behind closed doors to rush through the backlog since COVID. The Tories have opened... Everything wrong with this country started with the Tories. Labour just take it to the next level. So the Tories started messing with our justice system and and forcing people just to have a magistrate and closed doors so no one can see what's going on. And they're just taken to the next thing. The fact she wasn't born here, I think she was raised in Saudi Arabia, it's an issue for me. Not because she's a woman, not because she's Muslim, not because she's Saudi Arabian. I wouldn't want a Christian born in Poland in our parliament. I want the British Parliament for British people who are born here.
Yeah.
And if you come here, you're lucky enough to come here and live here. Yes, I don't want you representing us, but that doesn't mean I don't want your children representing us if they're born here. We make it far too easy for foreigners to pretend they're British by getting a British passport, British citizenship, and standing for British elections, and then they suddenly think they're British. You're not British. You're an immigrant. You're a foreigner. You'll always be a foreigner. But if you work hard and play by the rules, your children can be British. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
That's the reward for you for being a good citizen, is your children will be better than you because your children will be British. And how we can allow her to be looking after our criminal justice system let's say she's right. Let's say we should be reducing jury trials. Let's just for a moment she's right. I don't think she is.
Yeah.
But let's say she is. What's her history of knowing about this country? And
she grew up in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly. And the Magna Carta and the struggles we've had and the Peasants' Revolt. And, and what we've had to do to make sure we had jury trials. She doesn't know any of that. She's a foreigner.
Not everybody's as old as you, Nick.
No, exactly. But lots of people don't know any of this. But even though we don't know this, if you're born in this country, you have that sense of jury trials are important. You don't know why you think that.
You're right.
But that's because you're brought up in the culture of us thinking that.
And it's the same as the Judeo-Christian culture as well.
Yes.
Whilst I'm not religious, I do keep saying I'm a Christian. My entire childhood was being brought up in that environment, and that's the way I think. But somebody like her, who's foreign born, raised in Saudi Arabia, will not be thinking like you and I in terms of that cultural upbringing that we both had. And I think that's a really interesting point. Cultural upbringing. You and I have had a British cultural upbringing. We've lived in, even though my dad was...
Your dad's an immigrant. My dad's an immigrant.
Yeah. But we lived in British communities. I grew up in Harehills, which at that time was more a British community. Then I grew up on a council estate in Whitby, which is a totally British community. Yeah. So I'm ingrained in British culture. I'm soaked in British culture.
It's all you know.
It's all you know as well. Yeah. And that's the way we think. Yeah. But you're right, Shabana Mahmood. But it's worse than that, isn't it? So if you look at Shabana Mahmood, she's non-British in terms of her thinking, but all these people in the Home Office we were talking about, if they are not either foreign nationals, or if they've grown up in a very tight Muslim community in the UK, they won't again have a feel for these British values. But we are infiltrating these people into all our major institutions. It's the same point, isn't it?
Let me put this in a real simple term for you because you like football. Would you want the world's best rugby coach to be Man U's coach?
No.
He's a world-class coach. He's won everything. He's won the Rugby World Cup 9 times.
Yeah.
He's won the... Do you want him to be Man U's coach? No. Why?
Because he doesn't know football.
So you might get someone really intelligent, really wonderful from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Why would we want them being involved in British politics? Because they know nothing about being British.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point.